Bol, Namaste. My name is Janapati Das, and welcome again to our Krishna book reading. Today we are going to get into another wonderful story of Krishna's pastimes, Krishna Katha. So please accept my most humble obeisances. I'd like to offer my respects to my spiritual teacher and to Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who translated this Krishna book that we are reading. And we're going to start off, of course, with the prime benediction for humanity at large. The true welfare work for humanity, the hearing and chanting of Krishna's names. So please join along. Krishna Prastaya Buddhale Srimate Siva Svarupana Haribol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, we are going to continue with the new story. Actually, I'm going to read the very last part of the talks between Krishna and Rukmini. We have been going through this wonderful, wonderful story of Krishna and Rukmini, and Krishna teasing Rukmini and Rukmini taking it very seriously, and then all this wonderful discourse, spiritual information. But my video got cut off at the end, so I'm going to read this last paragraph again so we can get the full feeling. Lord Krishna is the world teacher, therefore Jagat Guru, right? My spiritual master's name is Jagat Guru. That's one of his names. It means the world teacher, or the teacher of the universe, representing, everyone. Lord Krishna is the world teacher, therefore, even though he had no need for a wife, he expanded himself into as many forms as he had wives, and he lived with them as an ideal householder, observing the regulative principles, rules, and commitments, and according with the Vedic injunctions and the social laws and customs of society. So the Vedic system was set up in a way that even, great saints and, Krishna himself followed the rules and regulations so that, there's a saying in the Bhagavad Gita, what great men do, common men will follow. And Krishna was talking to Arjuna, explaining that, what you do, because you're a great soul, people will follow. So if you're going to just, squinch on your on your duty as a warrior and then just go off and try to be a yogi, then people will just feel like they can do whatever. If they can't, if they have a certain kind of rules and regulations, they think, well, I don't have to do it because Arjuna did it, So similarly, Krishna didn't have to follow any rules or regulations. He was the source of all rules and regulations. He's beyond the Vedic system. But in accordance to the Vedic injunctions of social law and customs of society, and to set that standard, he there is a story later on, we'll probably come to it, where Narada Muni goes into all the palaces of the 16,108 wives, and Krishna has expanded himself into every, it's not just like Krishna's doing the same thing. Every Krishna is doing something different, but it's all one Krishna. It's the same Krishna who's expanded himself. So similarly, how he did that, the same thing with fooling Lord Brahma and expanding himself into cows and calves, he can expand himself, expanding with the gopis, so he could dance with all the gopis. He maintained the different palaces, different establishments, and different atmospheres. Thus the Lord, although one, exhibited himself as 16,108 ideal householders. We can follow the footsteps of Krishna, not imitate, but we follow in the footsteps of great saints, great, Krishna in this case, and we follow the rules and regulations according to the time and custom. So, thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the second volume, 5th chapter of Krishna, talks between Krishna and Rukmini. So now we're getting into chapter 6 of volume 2. Genealogical table of the family of Krishna. Okay, this is very exciting. So we were talking a little bit about Rukmini and Balaram. The story is in this, so we're going to get into that. Krishna had 16,108 wives, and in each of them he begot 10 sons. So I think if you do that, I don't know if the calculation's in here, but if you times 10 sons times I think that's 160,000. You can do the math maybe. I think it's 161,080 wives or something like that, sons. All of them equal to their father in the opulence of strength, beauty, wisdom, fame, wealth, and renunciation. Like father, like son. All the 16,108 wives of Krishna were princesses, and when each saw that Krishna was always present in her respective house and did not leave home, they considered Krishna to be a henpecked husband who was very much attached to them. So it's really wonderful. Krishna is like playing the role of the ideal householder and ideal husband, and the wives think, oh yeah, Krishna's with me, Krishna's by me. Just like the gopis were like, Krishna's just spending time with me, So they didn't see the other, So similarly, wives were not aware. They're just like, oh yeah, I got Krishna. Every one of them thought that Krishna was her very obedient husband, but actually Krishna had no attraction for any of them, although each thought that she was the only wife of Krishna and was very, very dear to him. Lord Krishna, since he is Atma Rama, self-sufficient, that's what, self-sufficient, right? Was neither dear nor inimical to any one of them. So Krishna is Atma Rama. He's self-sufficient. He does not need the worship or the offerings or anything that we offer to Krishna. He doesn't really need it. We need him, actually, because we are related to him intimately. And without Krishna, we're a bunch of zeros. We don't have, without our relationship, our eternal relationship with Krishna, there is no purpose of life. There is no meaning. There's no happiness. There's no joy. But with Krishna, there is joy, And so Krishna, of course, allowed the spirit souls, these spirit souls, as queens, to engage in a conjugal relationship with Krishna, and just like, and that is this sort of Yoga Maya allows the living entity to have this relationship, this rasa, this mellow with Krishna. Just like the cowherd boys or Mother Yasoda, they all had this different relationship. They all thought, oh, this is my baby, this is my child. The cowherd boys thought, oh, Krishna is our best friend. We got to be careful. We're not too rough with him when, this and that, or maybe we'll jump on him. And, it's like this kind of awe and reverence of, there is a place in the spiritual world for people to have that kind of worship of awe and reverence of like, oh, great God, on your golden throne. But Krishna it's not Krishna's favorite, like relationship, and it's not as sweet. So, there is this relationship of different rasas that the living entity, like if you're in an awe and reverence, like Moses, or, you would think like, is it appropriate to go in and jump on God and wrestle with him, or, to tie up God because he's been bad? It's like, it would be like, no, okay, right? All the princesses who were wives of Krishna were exquisitely beautiful, and each one of them was attracted by Krishna's eyes, which were just like lotus petals, and by his beautiful face, long arms, broad ears, pleasing smile, humorous talk, and sweet words. Influenced by these features of Krishna, they all used to dress themselves very attractively, desiring to attract Krishna by their feminine bodily appeal. They used to exhibit their feminine characteristics by smiling and moving their eyebrows, thus throwing sharpened arrows of conjugal love just to awaken Krishna's lusty desires for them. Still, they could not arouse the mind of Krishna or his sex appetite. This means that Krishna never had any sex relationship with his many wives, save and except to beget children. The queens of Dwarka were so fortunate that they got Lord Krishna as their husband and personal companion. Although he is not approachable by exalted demigods like Brahma, they remained together as husband and wife, and Krishna, as an ideal husband, treated them in such a way that at every moment there was an increase of transcendental bliss in their smiling exchanges, talking and mixing together. So a very important point, the love for Krishna, what is reflected in the material world as sex desire, is a perverted reflection, right? This sex desire. So the actual attraction, the actual bliss is in the loving relations between Krishna and the living entities, which is far, far, far greater than any kind of sexual desire. So as it's stated here, Krishna didn't really have sexual relations, but for the queens, it was okay, because they were just in bliss, just being with Krishna. Each and every wife had hundreds and thousands of maidservants, yet when Krishna entered the palaces of his thousands of wives, each of them used to receive Krishna personally by seating him in a nice chair, worshiping him with all requisite paraphernalia, personally washing his lotus feet, offering him betel nuts, massaging his legs to relieve them from fatigue, fanning him to make him comfortable, offering all kinds of scented sandalwood pulp, oils, and aromatics, putting flower garlands on his neck, dressing his hair, getting him to lie down on the bed, and assisting him in taking his bath. Thus they served always in every respect, especially when Krishna was eating. They were always engaged in the service of the Lord. Of the 16,108 queens of Krishna, each of whom had 10 sons. There is the following list of sons of the first 8 queens. By Rukmini, Krishna had 10 sons: Pradyumna, Charudeshna, sorry if I slaughter some of these names, Shudeshna, Charudeya, Shucharu, Charugupta, Bhadra Charu, Chaaru, Chandra, Vicharu, and Charu. None of them were inferior in their qualities to their divine father, Lord Krishna. Similarly, Satyabhama had 10 sons, and their names are as follows: Banu, Subhanu, Svarbhanu, Prabhanu, Bhanuman, Chandrubhanu, Brihadbhanu, Atibhanu, Shribhanu, and Pratibhanu. The next queen, Jambavati, had 10 sons, headed by Samba. Their names are as follows: Samba, Sumitra, Purujit, Satyajit, Shrajit, Vijaya, Tritaketu, Vashuman, Dravida, and Kratu. Lord Krishna was specifically very affectionate to the sons of Jambavati, by his wife, the daughter of king of Nagnajit. Lord Krishna had 10 sons. They are as follows: Vira Chandra, Ashvashena, Chitragu, Vegavan, Risha, Amma, Shanku, Vasu, and Kunti. Amongst all of them, Kunti was very powerful. Krishna had 10 sons by Kalindi, and they are as follows: Shruta, Kavi, Vrisha, Vrira, Subahu, Bhadra, Shanti, Darsha, Purnamasha, and the youngest Somaka. For his next wife, Lakshman, the daughter of the king of Madras province, he begot 10 sons of the name Pragosha, Gatravan, Shimba, Bala, Prabala, Urdvarga, Mahashakti, Shaha, Oja, and Aparajita. Similarly, his next wife, Mitravinda, had 10 sons. They are as follows: Vrika, Harsha, Anila, Gridra, Vadana, Anna, Mahamsha, Pavana, Vani, and Kushudi. His next wife, Bhadra, had 10 sons of the names Sangra Majid, Brihatsena, Sura, Praharana, Arijit, Jaya, Subhadra, Vama, Ayo, and Satyaka. Besides these 8 chief queens, Krishna had 16,108 wives, and all of them had 10 sons each. And we're not going to say all the names. Unfortunately, it would take us forever. The eldest son of Rukmini, Pradyumna, was married with Mayavati from his very birth, and afterwards he again married with Rukmavati, the daughter of his maternal uncle Rukmi. From this Rukmavati, Pradyumna had a son named Aniruddha. In this way, Krishna's family, Krishna and his wives, along with their sons and grandsons, and even great-grandsons, all combined together to include very nearly 1 billion family members. Wow. Quite a bit. That's a lot of people. That's amazing. Rukmi, the elder brother of Krishna's first wife, Rukmini, was greatly harassed and insulted in his fight with Krishna. Okay, here comes the story. But on the request of Rukmini, his life was saved. Since then, Rukmini had held a grudge against Krishna and was always inimical toward him. Nevertheless, his daughter was married with Krishna's son, and his great-granddaughter married with Krishna's grandson, Aniruddha. This fact appeared to be a little astonishing to Maharaj Parikshit when he heard it from Shukadev Goswami. I am surprised that Rukmini and Krishna, who were so greatly inimical to one another, could again be united by marital relationships between their descendants. Parikshit Maharaj was curious about the mystery of this incident, and therefore he inquired further from Shukadev Goswami. Because Shukadev Goswami was a practical yogi, nothing was hidden from his power of insight. A perfect yogi like Shukadev Goswami can see past, present, and future in all details. Therefore, for such yogis or mystics, there can be nothing concealed. When Parikshit Maharaj inquired from Shukadev Goswami answered as follows. Pradyumna, the eldest son of Krishna, born of Rukmini, was Cupid himself. He was so beautiful and attractive that the daughter of Rukmini, namely Rukmavati, could not select any husband other than Pradyumna during her Svayamvara. Therefore, in that selection meeting, she garlanded Pradyumna in the presence of all other princes. When there was a fight among the princes, Pradyumna came out victorious, and therefore Rukmini was obliged to offer his beautiful daughter to him. Although a far-off enmity was always blazing in the heart of Rukmini because of his being insulted by Krishna's kidnapping of his sister, Rukmini, when his daughter selected Pradyumna as her husband, Rukmini could not resist consenting to the marriage ceremony just to please his sister Rukmini. And so Pradyumna became the nephew of Rukmini. Besides the 10 sons described above, Rukmini had one beautiful daughter with big eyes, and she was married to the son of Kritavarma, whose name was Bali. Although Rukmini was a veritable enemy of Krishna, he had great affection for his sister Rukmini, and he wanted to please her in all respects. On this account, when Rukmini's grandson Aniruddha was to be married, Rukmini offered his granddaughter Rochana to Aniruddha. Such marriage between intimate cousins is not very much sanctioned by the Vedic culture, but in order to please Rukmini offered his daughter and granddaughter to the son and grandson of Krishna. In this way, when the negotiation of the marriage of Aniruddha with Rochana was complete, a big marriage party accompanied Aniruddha and started from Dwarka. They traveled until they reached Bojakata, which Rukmini had colonized after his sister had been kidnapped by Krishna. So we remember that Rukmini, of course, made a vow that he would not return to his hometown. So he actually had to be in a new place. And so he set up there. And this place is Bojakata. This marriage party was led by the grandfather, namely Lord Krishna, accompanied by Lord Balaram, as well as Krishna's first wife, Rukmini, his son Pradyumna, Jambavati's son Samba, and many other relatives and family members. They reached the town of Bojakata, and the marriage ceremony was peacefully performed. The king of Kalinga was a friend of Rukmini's, and he gave him the ill advice to play with Balaram and thus defeat him in a bet. All right, here we go. It's like demons, demons always make stupid, even in the story of the Mahabharata, there's the Shakuni, the uncle of Duryodhana, was advising him to try to, ways to cheat the Pandavas, and that caused this great, enmity between the two, and it ultimately ended up in the Battle of Kurukshetra. So sometimes it's just like demons are led by demons, and demons influence and cause destruction where they go. Amongst the Kshatriya kings, betting and gambling in chess was not uncommon. If someone challenged a friend to play on the chessboard, the friend could not deny the challenge. Sri Balaramaji was not a very expert chess player, and this was known to the king of Kalinga, so Rukmini was advised to retaliate against the family members of Krishna by challenging Balaram to play chess. Although not a very expert chess player, Sri Balaram, it's like a mosquito, okay. Sri Balaramaji was very enthusiastic in the sporting activities. He's a Kshatriya. He's just like, oh yeah, that's okay. Because, as a coward boy, he loved to wrestle and challenge people in wrestling matches. And so, of course, he's as a Kshatriya, he's very enthusiastic about that. He accepted the challenge of Rukmini and sat down to play. Betting was with gold coins, and Balaram first of all challenged with 100 coins, then 1,000 coins, then 10,000 coins. Each time Balaram lost and Rukmini became victorious. Sri Balaram's losing the game was an opportunity for the king of Kalinga to criticize Krishna and Balaram. See, this is where he's trying to go wrong. This is a mistake right here. It's not even like, it's just a little poke to keep beating Balaram, but then, to start throwing insults and stuff, that's where it gets. Thus, the king of Kalinga was talking jokingly and purposefully showing his teeth to Balaram. I guess in the story of Devivida, the gorilla, he does that too, show your teeth, and it's, I guess, a great insult, like you're mocking them. Yeah. Because Balaram was the loser in the game, he was a little intolerant of the sarcastic, joking words. He became a little agitated, and when Rukmini again challenged Balaram, he made a bet of 100,000 coins. Fortunately, this time Balaram won. Although Balaramaji had won, Rukmini, out of his cunningness, began to claim that Balaram was the loser and that he himself had won. Because of this lie Balaramaji, sorry, I lost my place. Balaramaji became most angry with Rukmi. His agitation was so sudden and great that it appeared like a tidal wave in the ocean on a full moon day. Balaram's eyes were naturally reddish, and when he became agitated and angry, his eyes became more reddish. This time he challenged and made the bet of 100 million coins. It's like the idiots who are like agitating a bull, you know, like you keep poking at a bull and the bull gets more and more angry. So Krishna Balaram is getting really upset here. And so he's getting pushed to that point. Thinking I feel a mosquito. Again, Balaram was the winner according to the rules of chess, but Rukmi again cunningly began to claim that he had won. Rukmi appealed to the princes present, and he especially mentioned the name of the king of Kalinga. At this time, there was a voice from the air during the dispute, and it announced that for all honest purposes, Balaram, the actual winner of this game, was being abused, and that the statement of Rukmi that he had won was absolutely false. In spite of this divine voice, typical demons, they don't even listen. There's a voice from the sky. They're like, you know, the same thing with Kamsa. He was like, oh, okay, well, you know, he got mad and whatever, but, you know, he was just like, for years, he thought nothing was going to happen. In spite of this divine voice, Rukmi insisted that Balaram had lost, and by his persistence, it appeared that he had death upon his head. Falsely puffed up by the ill advice of his friends, he did not give much importance to the oracle. He began to criticize Balaramaji. He said, "My dear Balaramaji, you two brothers, coward boys only, may be very expert in tending cows, but how can you be expert in playing chess or shooting arrows on the battlefield? These arts are well known only to the princely order." Hearing this kind of pinching talk by Rukmi and hearing the loud laughter of all the other princes there, Lord Balaram became as agitated as burning cinders. So it was like, okay, now he was like going to be criticizing Krishna, right? You know, now they're criticizing Krishna. Balaram can't stand that, you know, criticizing his dear Krishna. It's like, you can criticize me, but, you know, and I'll deal with it, but you're going to start criticizing Krishna. He immediately took up a club in his hand and without further talk struck Rukmi on the head. From that one blow, Rukmi fell down immediately and was dead and gone. Thus Rukmi was killed by Balaram on that auspicious occasion of Aniruddha's marriage. These things are not very uncommon in Kshatriya society, and the king of Kalinga became, being afraid that he would be the next to be attacked, fled from the scene. Before he could he escaped even a few steps, however, Balaramaji immediately captured him, and because the king was always showing his teeth while criticizing Balaram and Krishna, broke all his teeth with his club. The king, like Balaram's like, okay, breaks his teeth. He breaks his teeth because he like thinks his precious white teeth, and then, you know, the other princes who were supporting, but it's also funny because the king of Kalinga was the one who made the advice, was provoking him, and then just decided, I better get out of here. You know, we hear this time and time again. You know, what was the other one? Satrasura. No, what was the one? Yeah, the one that tried to steal all the gopis. He tried to do that, and then he realized he got caught by and was freaked out by Krishna and Balaram and tried to run away. They always try to run away. The other princes who were supporting the king of Kalinga and Rukmi were also captured, and Balaram beat them with his club, breaking their legs and hands. They did not try to retaliate, but thought it wise to run away from the bloody scene. They're like, we're not going to fight this. No. During the strife between Balaram and Rukmi, Lord Krishna did not utter a word, for he knew that if he supported Balaram, Rukmini would be unhappy. And if he said that the killing of Rukmi was unjust, then Balaram would be unhappy. Therefore, Lord Krishna was silent on the death of his brother-in-law, Rukmi, on the occasion of his grandfather's marriage. He did not disturb either his affectionate relationship with Balaram or with Rukmini. After this, the bride and the bridegroom were ceremoniously seated on the chariot, and they started for Dwarka, accompanied by the bridegroom's party. The bridegroom's party was always protected by Lord Krishna, the killer of the Madhu demon. Thus they left Rukmi's kingdom, Bojakata, and happily started for Dwarka. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the second volume, 6th chapter of Krishna, the genealogical table of the family of Krishna. And that is a great story. That was great. Jai Lord Balaram. Don't mess with Balaram. Or not even just don't mess with Balaram, but once you know, the devotees and Balaram is protective of Krishna. He loves Krishna. And then, it's like, as my spiritual master says, you start criticizing. You criticize Balaram, okay, Balaram can tolerate it. But you start to criticize Krishna, it's dear Krishna, he's not going to tolerate that at all. So we are going to read up next, we're hearing more stories of the children and the grandchildren of Krishna in the meeting of Usha and Aniruddha, and we will pick that up for next time. So thank you very much. Jai Shri Prabhupada, Jai Krishna. Let's chant. Namo Vishnu Daya Krishna Bastaya Putale Srimate Sita Swarupananda Hamsa Iti Namine Namah Krishna Prastaya Utale Srimate Sita Swarupananda Amahamsa Iti Namine Vajashri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Okay, Haribol, thank you again for tuning in on this. And if you have not liked on this video, subscribe on my channel, please do so. Feel free to make comments, ask any questions in the comments section below, and share, please. Thank you, and have a wonderful day. Haribol.